We were sitting at a rooftop steakhouse in downtown Chicago, celebrating the biggest win of my career. Or so I thought. The skyline was glowing, glasses were clinking, and everyone kept calling it Marcus's team that had landed the Barnes Tech expansion. Total bullshit, but I played along. I'd done every damn inch of the groundwork. Late nights, strategy decks, running point on every meeting. Marcus just showed up to shake hands and take the bow. And now, here we were, him across the table laughing like he actually earned it. He got up to take a call. "Back in a sec," he said, grabbing his jacket and stepping away from the table. That's when his phone lit up. Face down, right near my wine glass. One line glowed through the tinted case. Let him close the deal, then drop him. From Gavin, the firm's new CEO. Less than 6 months in, and I knew he didn't like me. Too blunt, not enough ass-kissing. But this wasn't just politics. This was a setup. Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. I stared at that message like it punched me in the teeth. My chest felt hot. I picked up my glass to hide the way my hands were shaking. Marcus came back, grinning like a clown. "Cheers to sealing the deal," he said, raising his glass toward mine. I clinked it. My jaw locked so tight I thought I'd crack a molar. "Couldn't have done it without your polish," I said, dry as bone. He blinked, noticed the edge in my voice, saw the way I was looking at him. His eyes flicked to the phone. He knew. I smiled. Full teeth. That's what pissed him off. His nostrils flared, just slightly, but he kept it buttoned. "Teamwork," he said. "That's what counts." The clients were still talking me up. One even raised a toast. "Here's to the guy who actually got it done." Even the damn waiter came by and said, "Congratulations, sir. You the CEO?" Marcus's face didn't move, but I caught the clench in his jaw. He said nothing. I nodded, thanked the guy, and picked up my napkin. "Let me get the next round," I said, standing up. I didn't wait for an answer. I headed for the bar, because I needed air, and I needed a plan. I ordered a whiskey neat and leaned against the bar like I wasn't 5 seconds from flipping the whole table back there. I didn't go back. I waited for the check, signed it myself, and walked out without saying a word to Marcus or the clients. Let him explain that. I got home around midnight, dropped my keys in the bowl, pulled off my jacket, and just stood in the dark. My apartment felt cold, empty, but not in the sad way. More like stripped down. Honest. I poured another drink and sat on the edge of the couch, staring at the city lights through the window. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't push the thoughts away. This wasn't new. It had been happening for years. And I let it. I didn't miss the signs. I just kept giving them the benefit of the doubt like a damn fool. First time was 3 years ago. I'd crushed it on the Corsair account. Built the model, wrote the pitch, even flew to Texas on my own dime when the senior team couldn't make it. They told me I'd be up for a promotion that quarter. Then came the email. "You're too valuable where you are." Translation, keep doing the grunt work. No credit, no title. A few months later, same thing after the Lockwell deal. My boss was on paternity leave, so I handled everything. End to end. Strategy, meetings, contracts, close. And who got the title bump? Marcus. Team recognition, they said, bullshit. Then came Xenotech. That one still burns. I was basically living in the office for 6 weeks, managed 2 teams, met deadlines no one else could have touched. And right when I thought it was my time, I got called into a meeting. We're still evaluating structure. The next week, they gave the position to Sarah Denning. She wasn't even on the project, didn't even know the client's name. And still, I stayed. Head down, work harder, play the game. Last fall, I thought maybe it would be different. I went all in. Led the expansion strategy for Langford, onboarded 5 new associates, trained 3 of them personally. I requested feedback from every client, every peer, put together the kind of package no one could ignore. They ignored it. No call, no email, nothing. Just silence. A month later, Marcus got promoted again. I remember walking into the office that day like a ghost, sat at my desk, didn't say a word. I wasn't even angry, just done. I told myself it was timing, that maybe next quarter it would happen. But sitting there that night, the city humming outside my window, that message burned into my brain. Let him close the deal, then drop him. I saw it clear. They were never planning to promote me. I wasn't overlooked. I was used. Every win I delivered just made someone else look good. Every extra hour, every polished pitch, every time I covered for their screw-ups, they weren't stepping stones, they were anchors, and I'd been dragging them all this time thinking I was moving forward. I pulled up my inbox, searched promotion. There were 12 emails, going back 5 years, same phrases, same language. Not right now. Leadership is shifting. Let's revisit in Q3. Don't think we don't see your value. They saw it just fine. That's why they kept me right where I was. My phone buzzed. Ava, my assistant, just a thumbs up emoji. She must have seen me leave the dinner early. I didn't reply. I just stared at the screen. I wasn't invisible. I was a weapon they didn't want to see loaded. And now I was loaded. I stood up, grabbed my laptop, and opened a blank page. No plan yet. No idea what the next move was. But I knew I wasn't going to sit still. Not anymore. I sat there with my laptop open, blank screen glowing, heart thudding like it was trying to beat its way out of my chest. I couldn't type anything. Not yet. But something had cracked open, and all I could think about was that lunch 2 months back with Eric Barnes. It had felt casual at the time. He'd texted, "You around Thursday? Let's grab something off the record." We'd worked together for years. Barnes Tech was one of our firm's top clients. I figured it was just a friendly check-in, no agenda. We met at this little Italian place in River North. Low-key spot. I got there first, ordered iced tea, kept it professional. He showed up in jeans and a quarter zip, like he didn't run a multi-billion-dollar company, typical Eric. We talked about the Langford rollout, some upcoming tech licensing stuff. Just normal work chatter. Until halfway through his chicken parm, he leaned in and asked, "Why are you still with them?" I blinked. "With who?" "Syntech," he said, like the name tasted sour. "Why are you still there?" I laughed it off. "It pays the bills." He didn't smile, just sat back and shook his head. "I've seen the work, man. I know which parts are really yours, and I know which ones are Marcus's." I didn't say anything. I didn't have to. "You're not subtle," he said. "But you were good." I shrugged. "Appreciate that." He paused, took a sip of water, then dropped it. "If you ever decide to build something of your own, we'd back it." I just stared at him. "You're serious?" "Dead serious," he said. "And I'll be blunt with you. We passed on the bell tower deal. Marcus ran point, full of fluff, no foundation. Looked slick, but had no weight. We've stopped trusting anything unless your name is on it." That one hit. I felt it in my gut. Not because it surprised me, but because it didn't. I knew Marcus had no idea what he was pitching half the time, but hearing it from a client, that client, made it real. I brushed it off then, told him I wasn't going anywhere, still had projects to finish, teams to manage. Honestly, I wasn't ready to admit how stuck I felt. But now, after what I saw on Marcus's phone, that offer was the only thing echoing in my head. I grabbed my phone and searched for the thread. It was still there. Eric Barnes. "You ever want out? I'll fund the first round." Simple, direct, no fluff. I hadn't responded back then, just left it hanging. Now it read different, not as a maybe, not a compliment, but a door, a real one. That lunch, that wasn't casual, that was a test. He was feeling me out, seeing if I had the spine to walk away and build something real. At the time, I didn't. I see that now. But tonight, I sat there rereading his words, and all I could think was, maybe I don't need permission anymore. Maybe I just need a plan. I grabbed my notebook off the coffee table and flipped to a blank page. Top line, what would I build if no one could stop me? And under that, without thinking, I wrote one name, BlackRock. I stared at that name for a long time, BlackRock, then added 2 more words beneath it, and Crane. Don't ask me why. It just felt right, solid, unshakable, like something that could stand on its own without needing permission from anyone. I didn't sleep that night. I researched instead. LLC requirements, regulatory hurdles, compliance risks, all of it. I cleared my browser history every hour just in case, kept everything off my work laptop. I knew what I was doing that wasn't illegal, but I wasn't naive. If they even sniffed a whisper of it, they'd burn me down before I made it to the start line. I didn't tell anyone, not my mother, not my friends, nobody. The next week, I reached out to a guy I knew from a conference 3 years ago, Alan Ridgway, former SEC compliance attorney turned startup advisor. He owed me a favor from back in the Lockwell days. I emailed him from a throwaway account and said I needed help forming an airtight LLC. He replied in minutes, "Let's talk." We met in the back corner of a coffee shop in Naperville. His idea, not mine. No records, no formal office trail. He pulled out a yellow legal pad and started asking me questions. "What's the name?" "BlackRock and Crane." "Who's funding?" "Soon, not yet." "What assets are we protecting?" "My work, my models, my strategy decks. That's all mine, Alan. I built them. I'm not stealing anything. I just want it locked before they try to take it." He nodded like he'd heard this before. "Smart move," he said. "They'll come for you hard if they see you as a threat. Better to be boring and clean than flashy and exposed." 3 days later, I had an LLC. 1 week after that, I had a separate business bank account, registered to a PO box and tied to a clean EIN. All of it completely disconnected from SynTech. No trace, no crossover, no red flags. I even opened a Dropbox account under my middle name and started quietly rebuilding my original templates from scratch, anything I could prove I owned. Still, it was slow going. I couldn't move too fast or draw attention. Everything had to look like I was just staying late, doing my usual overachiever routine. But one night, Ava caught on. She came by my desk after hours with 2 coffees and a weird look on her face. "You working on something?" she asked. I didn't lie. I didn't answer either. She put the coffee down and said, "You want help or not?" I stared at her for a second. "You know what you're offering?" She nodded. "You've carried their wins long enough. Let's make sure you get to carry your own." She started backing up every file with my name on it, authored by me, tracked clean. No stolen intel, no internal client data. Just what I built. From that point on, she was all in. Never told a soul, never asked for details. Just handed me folders and said, "Check your drive." Every time I thought about slowing down, every time I second-guessed myself, I remembered Marcus's face when the waiter called me CEO. This wasn't about revenge, not anymore. It was about control, my name, my work, my future. I wasn't walking away empty-handed. I was building something real to land on. Everything I needed was in place. LLC clean, files backed, Barnes Tech deal, 99% locked. All I had left to do was hit send. I stayed late that night to finish the contract. Every line, every clause, every damn contingency. I made sure it wasn't just tight, it was ironclad. My signature would close the biggest deal SynTech ever touched. Not Marcus's, not the firm's, mine. Just as I was typing in the final approval line, I heard the elevator ding. I didn't even look up. I knew that slow, confident walk behind me. "Still burning the midnight oil?" Marcus said, standing just over my shoulder. I kept typing. He stepped closer, leaned against my desk like we were pals. "You've outdone yourself this time. Barnes Tech is a beast, and you tamed it. Hell of a job." "Cut the performance," I said, not even turning around. He smirked. "I'm being serious." "Sure you are," I said, finally spinning in my chair to face him. "That's why Gavin texted you mid-dinner to tell you to drop me." His smile twitched, just a little. "You misunderstood that." "No," I said. "I didn't." He didn't say another word, just nodded once and walked out. Less than a minute later, Ava came rushing in, pale, breath short like she ran up the stairs. "HR's whispering about layoffs," she said. "I overheard your name." My hand froze over the trackpad. "You sure?" She nodded, eyes locked on mine. I heard the actual words: cost restructure, reputation pivot, and then your name. I looked at the screen. Barnes Tech contract ready to launch. Send button glowing like a trap. They were going to cut me. After I handed them the biggest win in the company's history, I closed my laptop. "No way in hell," I muttered. Ava looked like she might cry, but all she said was, "Good." I grabbed my bag, didn't say goodbye to anyone, just walked out of that office slow and steady. Let them think I was going home clueless. They didn't know I held the real asset. They didn't even ask if the contract was signed. They just assumed they'd get the prize before pulling the trigger. Next morning, I woke up to 6 missed calls from the main office line and 1 email with the subject line: status change, termination. Effective immediately. No meeting, no explanation, just a bland HR form with bullet points and some legalese about shifting market needs. They revoked my credentials. I couldn't even log in to send myself a goodbye message. I just sat there at my kitchen table, reading the email, watching my login error out, over and over. They thought they'd buried me. What they didn't know was that I hadn't sent the Barnes Tech contract yet. That was still sitting on my personal drive, untouched by company servers. I had the deal. They didn't. They thought they fired me. They actually gave me leverage. My phone buzzed again. Ava. They're freaking out. Marcus just tore into IT about a missing file. I said nothing. I texted back, "Say less, I'm good." I got dressed, clean shirt, real pants, none of that remote work sweatpants crap. I brushed my hair, tied my shoes, and walked back into the day like nothing broke. Because nothing did. They thought I'd crawl away without a fight. But I wasn't crawling. I was standing taller than I had in years, with their biggest deal in my pocket and zero obligation to hand it over. They cut the rope, but I wasn't falling. I was finally off the leash. I got home, dropped my keys, and just stood in the middle of the living room like I'd forgotten how to move. My bag was still slung over my shoulder, jacket half off. I didn't even bother taking off my shoes. I sat down on the floor, not the couch, the floor, cold wood against my spine. I couldn't breathe right, not panic, not grief, just hollow. Like the wind got knocked out of me, but never came back. The Barnes contract was still sitting on my drive, untouched since last night. I opened the folder, stared at it like it might do the thinking for me. I hovered over it. Delete. Just walk away. Burn it all. Pretend I didn't give the best years of my life to a place that tossed me like bad coffee. My phone buzzed. Mom. I almost let it ring, but something in me picked it up. "Hi," I said, barely above a whisper. There was a pause. Then her voice, calm and steady, like it always is when I'm coming undone. "I don't need details," she said. "Just tell me, do I need to come down there?" She lives 3 hours away. Hasn't driven past the county line in years. "No, I'm okay." "You don't sound okay." I said nothing. She waited. Then, "You don't have to be strong, honey. You just have to be honest with yourself." That cracked me, just shattered whatever wall I'd been holding up. I didn't sob. I didn't scream. I just sat there, tears running silent down my face while she stayed on the line. She didn't fill the silence. She didn't press. She just let me be broken for a minute. When I finally breathed again, I said, "They fired me." I figured. Another pause. Then she said, "So, now you get to build something. Just make sure it's yours this time." We hung up a few minutes later. I sat there in the dark, the city lights bleeding through the blinds. That's when I saw it. Buried in my inbox. An unread message from 2 months ago. From Eric Barnes. Subject, just a thought. Body. If you want to build something, we'd fund it. I'd forgotten all about it. But now, it didn't just feel like a message. It felt like a fuse that had been waiting for the match. I clicked open the contract file. Instead of deleting it, I renamed it. Then I scrolled to the top, to the spot where Marcus's name used to be. I started typing. Prepared by BlackRock and Crane. Primary contact, my name. No turning back now. I sat there with my name finally at the top of the page, and I didn't hesitate. I signed the damn contract. No assistant, no legal team. No Marcus breathing down my neck pretending to offer guidance. Just me, my laptop, and the company I built out of pure spite and stolen sleep. BlackRock and Crane. I exported it to PDF, double-checked every line, then opened a new email to Eric Barnes. Subject, ready when you are. Attachment final contract, Barnes expansion. Initiative body, signed and ready to move. BlackRock and Crane is live. I hovered over send for half a second, then clicked it. It was gone. I didn't know what would happen next. I just sat there with my fingers still on the keyboard, heart hammering, like I'd just stepped off a cliff and couldn't tell if I'd fly or break every bone on the way down. 3 minutes later, his reply popped up. Subject, let's go. Body deal approved, funding still on the table. Let's announce this Friday. I read it twice, then laughed. One of those rough, exhausted laughs that sits in your chest like a victory scream, with the volume turned down. It was real. I opened the file again, stripped out every trace of Syntech branding, their logo, their disclaimers, their boilerplate footer garbage, gone. I updated the client information, changed the header to my LLC, and saved it all in a brand new folder, final, no edits. BlackRock and Crane. That contract locked in $42.3 million, and not a single cent of it was going to them. My phone rang. Marcus, decline. 30 seconds later, it rang again. Same name, then again, 5 times. I didn't answer once. 10 minutes later, a message from Ava popped up. Ava, they're panicking. PR's in a meeting. Marcus hasn't left his office since 8 a.m. I think he knows. I stared at that for a second, then typed, me. Give it a week. Me. Then come build something real. No pep talk, no long pitch. She didn't need one. She'd been building it with me from the start, quietly, in the shadows. And now the lights were on. I sat back in my chair, phone buzzing with more missed calls, but I didn't care. They couldn't touch me now. They were too late. They thought I was the asset. Turns out, I was the whole damn firm. I woke up the next morning to my phone blowing up like a grenade had gone off inside it. No alarms, no emails, just a string of texts, missed calls, and one headline that made me sit straight up in bed. Barnes Tech partners with BlackRock and Crane in $42.3 strategic deal. I clicked it open, read the article twice. Syntech wasn't mentioned, not once. Not in the byline, not in the quotes, not in the fine print. It was like they never existed. Barnes Tech called BlackRock and Crane a bold new player led by a seasoned strategist with a proven record, no name drop. But I didn't need one. Everyone in the industry would know exactly who they were talking about. 2 minutes later, Ava messaged me. Ava, Marcus just threw his laptop at the wall. No joke, it's in there now. I grinned and stretched like it was the best morning I'd had in years. Me. Good. Let him choke on it. She sent back the skull emoji. I knew she was already packing up in her head. Then the calls started coming in. Not from Marcus this time. From coworkers I hadn't heard from in months. Some trying to check in, others fishing for info. I ignored every one of them. Then PR tried to reach out. I didn't even read the message. Straight to trash. They didn't want me back. They wanted to stop the bleeding. Too late. By noon, 4 clients had emailed me directly. Not just congratulations, full-on interest. Subject line, let's talk transition. Another, your new firm, we're interested. One even wrote, finally, someone worth following. I forwarded all of them to Ava with one line, get ready. She didn't reply with words, just a calendar invite titled, Client Onboarding Session. I couldn't stop smiling. This wasn't just a power move. It was a clean surgical strike. And the best part? I hadn't taken a single thing from Syntech. No documents, no clients under NDA, no staff poached. I just beat them with my own brain. And the truth. They thought the story would be, disgruntled employee leaves firm. Nah. The story was, strategist builds the thing they thought they owned and takes the crown while they sleep. Every pitch I'd written, every deal I'd nurtured, every decision they passed off as theirs, I'd been the one behind it, quietly, patiently, and now, loud as hell. I walked into my new office, smaller, cheaper, barely furnished, and sat in a used chair I bought off Craigslist. Didn't matter, because the calls weren't stopping, not anymore. 3 days after the headline dropped, a thick envelope showed up at my office. White, heavy paper, legal firm letterhead. My name typed across the front like they thought it might scare me. I already knew who it was from before I opened it. Syntech. I sliced it open with a cheap kitchen knife and read the first paragraph out loud. BlackRock and Crane is hereby notified of potential intellectual property infringement and tortious interference with existing contracts. I stopped there and started laughing. I scanned the rest. It was full of half-baked legal threats, citing proprietary frameworks and non-compete breaches, like they forgot I was never their employee. I slid the whole mess into a folder and drove straight to Alan's office. He opened the door in his usual wrinkled shirt and said, "This better be fun." I handed him the folder. He flipped through the pages, snorted, then tossed it on his desk. "You know who signed this?" "No, should I?" "Guy used to be my intern. Couldn't even get through a deposition without sweating through his tie." I laughed again. "So we're good?" He opened his drawer, pulled out a file labeled Receipts. Inside was every doc we'd filed, my 1099 status with Syntech, time-stamped work ownership logs, paper trails on all my original models. You were a contractor, he said. No NDA, no non-compete. And everything you built was done off-site, on your own time. Then what's this letter for? He smirked. Panic. We drafted a response that same afternoon. Nothing flashy, just facts, stacked so high they couldn't see over them. Then Alan added one more line at the bottom. Kindly note, this response has been blind copied to the State Bar Association for record-keeping purposes. He grinned as he typed it. Rattles the cage without swinging the bat. I sent it from Blackrock and Crane's official account with a single line in the email body. Please direct any future communication through counsel. 2 days later, we got our answer, or lack of one. No follow-up, no counterclaim, no press release, just silence, total retreat. I forwarded the email chain to Ava. 5 seconds later, she replied, Ava, they messed with the wrong man. She wasn't wrong. They thought they were sending a warning. What they really sent was proof that I'd already won. The office was quiet. No glass walls, no skyline view. Just a single room with a window facing a loading dock and a humming HVAC unit that never shut up. The carpet was worn. The desk was from a liquidation sale. I'd put it together myself with a screwdriver and a YouTube video. But it was mine. On the wall behind me, centered like a trophy, hung a black frame with a white screenshot. No decorations, no logos. Just the sentence that started it all. Let him close the deal, then drop him. Marcus had no idea he'd written my mission statement. I turned my chair toward the window where my mom was sitting, holding a coffee cup like it was gold. She'd brought blueberry muffins in a paper bag and sat without asking questions, just watching the room like it mattered. She squinted at the frame behind my desk. That the message you saw? Yeah, I said. She nodded once, like she didn't even need to hear the story. They didn't fire you, she said. They freed you. My phone buzzed. I picked it up off the desk, thumbed the screen, and blinked. Headline, 5 major clients exit Syntech for Blackrock and Crane. I turned it toward her. She leaned in, read it, then leaned back again with the smallest smile on her face. Calm, solid. They know now, she said. You don't have to yell. You don't have to beg. I looked down at the desk. Client folders, NDA drafts, contracts with my name on everyone. I've got clients, I said. Real ones, loyal ones. You've got more than that. She stood up, walked to the frame, and tapped the glass lightly with one finger. You've got proof. I stared at those words. Let him close the deal. Then drop him. That sentence ended the job I thought I needed, and built the business I was always meant to run. They wanted to cut me loose. They didn't realize they handed me the knife.